is a universal experience, something every single one of us will face in life. It's not a matter of if it will come, but when. It might show up as heartbreak, loss, disappointment, failure, or even physical suffering. Pain is an inescapable part of the human condition, but what many people don't realize is that while pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice born out of how we respond to the pain that life throws our way. Think of pain as a signal. It's like a flashing light on the dashboard of your car. It's there to alert you that something needs attention. Maybe it's a moment in your life where growth is required. Perhaps it's telling you to step away from something toxic or to stop ignoring the part of yourself that's crying out for change. Pain is a message. It's not there to punish you, but to wake you up, to demand that you stop and look at what's really happening inside. Suffering, on the other hand, is what we create when we resist that pain, when we cling to it, or when we replay it over and over in our minds. Suffering is born from the stories we attach to our pain. This always happens to me. I'll never recover. Why does life have to be so unfair? These thoughts don't lessen the pain, they amplify it. They take a temporary hurt and turn it into a long-term prison. The key difference between pain and suffering lies in how we interpret our experiences. Two people can go through the exact same situation, say losing a job. One person might spiral into despair, convinced that they're worthless or unlucky. The other person might see it as a challenge, an opportunity to find something better or to finally pursue a long stream. The tone of a look in a person's face is almost entirely catastrophic. The event itself is the same, but the outcomes couldn't be more different because the meaning each person assigns to it is different. It's not easy though. When you're in pain, the natural instinct is to resist it. We don't want to feel it, so we push it away, numb it, or distract ourselves. But here's the paradox. The more you resist pain, the more it persists. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more it wants to explode back to the surface. When you acknowledge your pain and allow yourself to feel it without judgment, you strip away its power. It no longer controls you. This doesn't mean you should enjoy pain or pretend that it's pleasant, far from it. But it does mean you have the power to shift your perspective. You can ask yourself questions like, what is this pain teaching me? Or how can I grow through this? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary. They turn pain into a process of discovery rather than destruction. Pain also has a way of connecting us to others. When you've experienced heartbreak, loss, or hardship, you develop empathy. You can look at someone else's pain and say, I see you, I understand. That connection is profound. It reminds us that while pain is personal, it's also universal. No one escapes it, but we don't have to face it alone. Suffering, however, isolates us. It wraps us in a cocoon of self-pity, where we start to believe that our pain is unique or that no one else could possibly understand what we're going through. It's a trap, and the longer we stay in it, the more disconnected we become from life and from the people who care about us. Pain is a temporary state. It comes and goes like waves in the ocean. Suffering, on the other hand, is like building a dam to trap those waves, letting them overflow and flood everything in sight. The choice is always there, to let the wave pass or to hold on to it. The question is, which will you choose? Life is full of events that seem random, chaotic, or even cruel. But the truth is, it's not the events themselves that shape our lives, it's the meaning we assign to them. Two people can experience the exact same situation and come out with completely different perspectives, completely different lives, because the meaning they give to the event transforms it into something personal. Meaning is the invisible force that shapes our emotions, our decisions, and ultimately our destiny. Think about this. Nothing in life has inherent meaning. Events happen, circumstances unfold, but it's you who decides what those events mean. For example, losing a job might mean failure to one person, while to another, it could mean an opportunity to finally start their own business. A breakup could mean the end of love, or it could mean the beginning of self-discovery. The same event, two completely different interpretations, and those interpretations are what make all the difference. Why is meaning so powerful? Because meaning drives emotion, and emotion drives action. If you give an experience a disempowering meaning, it will lead to feelings like anger, fear, or hopelessness. And when you're in those emotional states, your actions reflect them. You withdraw, you lash out, or you stop trying altogether. But if you assign an empowering meaning to that same experience, it can ignite feelings like hope, determination, or gratitude. Those emotions propel you to act differently, to grow, to try again, to see the possibilities rather than the limitations. Let's take a moment to consider pain. Pain is unavoidable, but the meaning we give to it defines whether it becomes a weight that holds us down or a fire that propels us forward. Some people experience tragedy and use it as a reason to give up, while others use it as a catalyst to change the world. What's the difference? It's not the tragedy itself, it's the meaning they've chosen to attach to it. This power of meaning extends to even the smallest events in life. Imagine you're driving and someone cuts you off in traffic. You might instantly think, what a jerk! They have no respect for anyone. That meaning will trigger frustration or anger, and you might spend the rest of your drive stewing over it. But what if you gave it a different meaning? What if you told yourself, maybe they're rushing to the hospital? Or maybe they just made a mistake, like I have before. Suddenly, your emotional state changes. You're calmer, more understanding, and the event no longer ruins your day. Meaning also shapes how we see ourselves. Think about the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Maybe you failed at something and decided, I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed. That meaning locks you into a cycle of self-doubt. But if you choose a different meaning, that failure was a lesson, or this is just part of my journey to growth, you shift your perspective. You start to see yourself as resilient, capable, and evolving rather than broken or stuck. The beautiful thing about meaning is that it's entirely within your control. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control the meaning you give it. And when you take ownership of meaning, you take ownership of your life. This power isn't just theoretical. It's a tool you can use every single day. When something happens that triggers a negative reaction, pause and ask yourself, what else could this mean? What's a more empowering interpretation? The more you practice this, the more you'll see that life's events don't define you. Your response does. Meaning is also what gives life depth and purpose. When you attach a powerful meaning to your work, your relationships, or your challenges, they stop being just things you have to do and become things you get to do. Suddenly, even the hard days have a sense of purpose. Even the struggles feel worth it because they're part of something bigger. And here's the real magic. When you change the meaning of your past, you change your present and your future. You can look back on moments that once filled you with regret, anger, or pain and choose to see them differently. Maybe that breakup was the moment you found yourself. Maybe that failure taught you resilience. Maybe that loss reminded you of the importance of love. The past doesn't change, but the meaning you give it can. And when that meaning changes, so does its impact on your life. The power of meaning is limitless. It's the difference between feeling defeated and feeling inspired. It's the difference between living a life of reaction and living a life of intention. Meaning isn't something that happens to you, it's something you create. It's your choice every single day. Pain is a universal experience. It doesn't discriminate. It touches every single one of us at some point in our lives. But what truly separates people isn't whether or not they feel pain, it's what they do with it. Some allow pain to break them, while others use it as fuel to rise higher, stronger, and more resilient than they ever thought possible. Turning pain into power is not just a concept, it's a practice, a mindset, and a decision to transform hardship into growth. Pain has a way of demanding your attention. It forces you to confront what's broken, what's not working, or what's been neglected. It strips away distractions and shines a spotlight on the parts of your life that need healing or change. While this process can feel brutal, it's also one of the most transformative forces in life. Pain tears down illusions and exposes truths. And in that raw, unfiltered state, it gives you a chance to rebuild not as you were, but as something greater. The first step to turning pain into power is to acknowledge it. So often we resist pain. We try to bury it, numb it, or ignore it, hoping it will go away. But pain doesn't disappear when it's ignored. It festers. The only way to truly overcome it is to face it head on. This doesn't mean you have to wallow in it, but you do have to feel it. Understand it and allow it to teach you. Pain has wisdom if you're willing to listen. Next, it's about asking the right questions. When you're in pain, the natural question to ask is, why is this happening to me? But that question keeps you stuck. It focuses on the problem rather than the solution. Instead, ask, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? What strength is this pain uncovering in me? These questions shift your perspective from victimhood to empowerment. They help you see pain not as a punishment, but as an opportunity. Pain also has the power to reveal your inner strength. Think about the times in your life when you faced challenges that felt overwhelming. Maybe you thought you couldn't handle it, that it was too much, and yet here you are. You survived. You found a way to keep going. That's proof of your resilience, your ability to endure and adapt. Every time you overcome pain, you build that resilience, and it becomes part of who you are, a reservoir of strength you can draw on when life gets tough. But turning pain into power isn't just about endurance. It's about transformation. It's about taking what hurt you and using it to create something meaningful. Think of an athlete who suffers a career-ending injury and goes on to inspire others as a coach or speaker. Or someone who experiences personal loss and channels their grief into creating a foundation that helps others in similar situations. These people didn't just endure their pain, they alchemized it into something that serves a greater purpose. Another crucial part of this transformation is reframing your pain. This means changing the story you tell yourself about it. Instead of seeing it as something that happened to you, see it as something that happened for you. This doesn't mean you have to be grateful for the pain itself, but you can be grateful for what it taught you or how it shaped you. Reframing isn't about denying the hurt. It's about giving it a new meaning, one that empowers you rather than holds you back. One of the most powerful ways to turn pain into power is to use it to connect with others. When you share your struggles, your vulnerabilities, and your journey, you give others permission to do the same. Pain has a way of isolating us, making us feel like we're the only ones going through it. But when you open up and show others how you've turned your pain into strength, you create connection and inspire healing. Not just for yourself, but for everyone you touch. Pain also forces you to prioritize. When life hurts, it has a way of stripping away the superficial and bringing what truly matters into focus. It reminds you of your values, your passions, and your purpose. And this way, pain can be a compass, pointing you toward the things that are most meaningful in your life. Finally, turning pain into power requires action. It's not enough to simply acknowledge your pain or even to learn from it. You have to do something with it. Take the lessons it's taught you and put them into practice. Let it drive you to take risks, to pursue your goals, to help others, or to create change. Pain can be paralyzing, but it can also be a tremendous motivator. It's up to you to decide which it will be. When you choose to transform pain into power, you reclaim your story. You take something that could have broken you and use it as the foundation for your strength, your purpose, and your growth. You turn what was meant to hold you back into the very thing that propels you forward. Life is not meant to be lived in isolation. At the core of our existence lies an undeniable truth. We are social beings wired to connect, to share, and to contribute to something greater than ourselves. Connection and contribution are the invisible threads that weave meaning into our lives, and they have the power to transform not only how we experience the world, but also how we heal, grow, and thrive. When life hurts, when pain feels overwhelming, our first instinct is often to retreat. We withdraw, thinking isolation will protect us from further harm. But the paradox is that isolation only deepens the pain. It creates a chasm between us and the world, feeding feelings of loneliness, despair, and helplessness. The antidote to this isn't withdrawal, it's connection. True connection goes beyond casual interactions. It's about being seen, heard, and understood. It's about allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to share your authentic self, even when it feels uncomfortable or risky. Vulnerability is often mistaken for weakness, but it's actually a profound strength. It's the bridge that allows others to step into your world and for you to step into theirs. When you share your struggles, your fears, and even your pain, You give others permission to do the same, creating a bond that's rooted in trust and mutual understanding. But connection isn't just about receiving, it's also about giving. When we connect with others, we have the opportunity to offer support, encouragement, and love. This act of giving doesn't just benefit the person on the receiving end, it uplifts us as well. Studies have shown that acts of kindness and generosity release chemicals in the brain that promote happiness and reduce stress. It's a reminder that in helping others, we help ourselves. Connection also reminds us that we're not alone in our struggles. Pain has a way of making us feel like no one could possibly understand what we're going through. But when you reach out, when you listen to someone else's story or share your own, you discover that pain is a universal language. It's something we all experience in different forms. And in that shared experience lies a profound sense of unity. Contribution takes this concept even further. While connection is about forming relationships and bonds, contribution is about stepping beyond yourself and making an impact on the world around you. It's about asking, how can I use my pain, my experiences, and my gifts to serve others? Contribution gives our pain a purpose. It transforms it from something that propels us back into something that propels us forward. When you contribute, you step into the flow of life. You become part of something larger than yourself. This might mean mentoring someone who's facing challenges you've overcome, volunteering in your community, or simply being there for a friend in need. Contribution doesn't have to be grand to be meaningful. Sometimes the smallest acts, a kind word, a helping hand, a listening ear, can create the biggest ripples. There's a special magic that happens when connection and contribution intersect. Imagine this, you're part of a community, a group of people who uplift and inspire each other. Within that community, you find opportunities to give back, to share your unique talents and experiences. The bonds you form deepen, and your sense of purpose grows. This cycle of connection and contribution creates a feedback loop of fulfillment, resilience, and growth. One of the most powerful aspects of contribution is its ability to shift our focus. When we're consumed by our own pain, it's easy to get stuck in a cycle of self-pity or despair. But when we turn our attention outward, when we ask, who can I help? How can I make a difference? Something remarkable happens. Our pain doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip on us. It stops being the center of our world and becomes a catalyst for action, for growth, for change. Connection and contribution are also essential for healing. When we're hurt, whether emotionally or physically, the presence of others can be a balm. Science shows that strong social connections improve not only mental health, but also physical health, boosting the immune system and speeding recovery. And when we contribute, we experience a sense of purpose that can pull us out of even the darkest places. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about connection and contribution is their ripple effect. When you connect with someone, you inspire them to connect with others. When you contribute to someone's life, you encourage them to pay it forward. This creates a chain reaction that spreads far beyond what you can see, touching lives in ways you may never fully understand. Ultimately, connection and contribution remind us of what it means to be human. They ground us in the present moment, anchor us a shared experience of life, and remind that even in our most difficult moments, we are never truly alone. We all carry stories within us, stories about who we are, where we've been, and what we're capable of. These stories shape our identity, our choices, and our future. But here's the thing, most of these stories weren't written consciously. They were shaped by our experiences, our environment, and the people around us. Some of these stories empower us, but others hold us back, keeping us trapped in cycles of fear, doubt, or regret. The good news, you are the author of your own life. And at any moment, you have the power to rewrite your story. The first step in rewriting your story is recognizing that you're even telling one. So many of us live on autopilot, letting old narratives guide our lives without ever questioning them. We say things like, I'm not good enough, I've always been unlucky, or that's just the way I am. But these aren't facts, they're interpretations. They're the meanings we've assigned to events in our lives, and they can be changed. Think of your life as a book. Up until now, certain chapters may have been written for you by circumstances, by other people, or even by your own past choices. But the pages ahead are blank. They're yours to fill. And the beauty of life is that you can revisit the earlier chapters and reinterpret them. You can take the pain, the failures, and the setbacks and see them in a new light as lessons, as fuel for growth, as the foundation for the person you're becoming.